Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
I'm your host, Mirko Peters. Welcome to datascience.show, thought leaders in data science for C-level and experts. Today, we're tackling a problem every executive knows. How do you convert promising AI experiments into repeatable, funded business investments that actually move the needle? In this episode, I walk the finance-forward playbook for turning pilots into P&L-backed initiatives. We'll cover how to build a use-case-level economic model, map costs, define funding gates, assign economic owners, and measure outcomes in business terms. Our featured perspective is a composite of senior CDO and head of AI experiences at large enterprises, someone who has had to justify budgets to the CFO, defend conservative ROI estimates, and scale a handful of successful pilots into an enterprise program. Why does this matter now? Because budgets are tight, expectations are high, and the difference between experiments and investments is where ROI lives. That's the difference between models and value. Thanks, Mirko. In my experience, the gap between pilot and funded program isn't technical, it's economic. Teams can build impressive prototypes, but if the business can't see a clear economic model, funding dries up. My role has been to translate technical outputs into financial outcomes and to create repeatable decision points that the business recognizes and trusts. Let's start with the high-level playbook. Think of each use case as its own micro P&L. Define the revenue or cost-saving stream, map the end-to-end costs, set conservative uplift assumptions, and then apply clear funding gates. The default mistake is to treat AI like R&D, open-ended, exploratory, and loosely funded. Instead, treat promising pilots like product investments. They need owners, forecasts, and monthly economic reviews. Exactly. We created a template we call the Use Case Economic Canvas. It starts with value streams, who benefits, what metric moves, and where the dollars come from. Then we break down costs into 5 buckets: data acquisition and labeling, model development and research, production engineering, APIs integration, infrastructure and runtime, and ongoing maintenance and monitoring. Each bucket gets an explicit estimate, not a fuzzy engineering hours number. Walk me through an example. Pick a concrete use case and show the numbers that make a CFO nod yes. Take automated claims triage for an insurer. Value streams include faster throughput, fewer manual reviews, and reduced fraud. Conservative uplift assumptions matter. We model a 10% reduction in manual handling costs in year 1, with additional efficiency gains later. On the cost side, label the data cost, historical claims labeling, the engineering to integrate with claims systems, cloud inference costs, and a small annual budget for model retraining and governance. When you put those numbers into a 3-year NPV, you can show the CFO a payback period of 14 months under conservative assumptions, and you document sensitivity. If uplift is 7%, payback is 20 months. At 15%, it's under a year. I want to pause on that. Conservative uplift and sensitivity analysis. Too many teams promise the moon. Your model should make it trivial for finance to stress test assumptions. Use baseline and upside scenarios. Document the key levers and show who owns which assumption. If the data quality turns out worse, who pays? If the model needs additional features, who signs off the extra budget? These are the governance questions that close deals. We built funding gates around 3 stages: discovery, pilot, and scale. Discovery is time-boxed and capped. Validate the data and the signal. Pilot tests the integrated workflow with measurable KPIs and a capped spend. Scale requires a quantitative economic case, NPV, payback, and an identified economic owner, usually a product or business P&L lead who signs for the outcomes. That handoff is critical. Engineering owns delivery, but the business owns the outcome. Let's talk trade-offs. When do you accept a long-horizon capability build versus short-term revenue capture? And how do you justify platform-level spending that doesn't map neatly to a single use case?
You split investments into two categories: use case funded and capability funded. Use case funded projects must stand on their own economic model. Capability investments, say a labeling platform or feature store, get funded when you can show the aggregated marginal benefit across prioritized use cases, or when the lack of capability is blocking critical deals. For platform spends, we set a chargeback model. Capabilities are either capitalized by the org that benefits most or run as shared services with a transparent cost allocation. The key is transparency. Business leaders must understand the cost and the incremental benefit.
Culture and governance matter too. What controls do you put in place to maintain momentum without stifling innovation? Keep stage gates lightweight and time-boxed. For governance, require an economic canvas and a one-page risk register for each pilot. Have finance review the assumptions early, not as an afterthought. Establish a monthly economic review, operational KPIs, cost burn, realized uplift against forecasts, and a decision node to continue, pivot, or sunset. Finally, incent the right behavior. Tie part of product or business leader compensation to realized outcomes, not just delivery milestones. Looking ahead, how should leaders adapt this investment model as AI tooling and costs evolve over the next 12 to 24 months? Expect unit costs to shift. Inference can get cheaper with optimized runtimes, but data and integration remain the hard parts. Leaders should invest in flexible cost models. For example, commit to both CapEx and variable cost options. Keep the economic canvas dynamic, update assumptions quarterly, and track realized versus forecast variance. Watch for common failure modes, overly optimistic uplifts, unlabeled hidden costs in operations, and weak ownership models. Instead, prioritize a small portfolio of high-conviction, business-aligned use cases and fund them properly. 2 practical actions to take this week. 1. Create a one-page economic canvas for your top 3 AI candidates. Include the value stream, 5 cost buckets, conservative uplift, NPV, and payback. 2. Schedule a monthly economic review with finance and the product owner. 30 minutes, disciplined agenda, and a clear decision outcome. Those 2 steps alone separate pilots from funded programs. That's the difference between models and value.
Final reflection. Funding discipline doesn't kill innovation, it focuses it. By translating technical work into financial terms, you create a lingua franca with the business. You also protect runway and create repeatability, the things executives actually reward. If you found this episode valuable, subscribe and share it with your network. And let's connect on LinkedIn. I'm Mirko Peters. We'll be back with more conversations on how data science and AI create real business impact. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.